So what's happened here? We had this plan to buy below Asia low in this VPOC area, and we could see on Bookmap there was a lot of bid orders who had the same idea, right? So this is why we kind of need confirmations. We can't just buy on straight on levels. I had an idea that it may slip below this low as well, given all the liquidity here, and maybe touch this inefficiency. So I think that's what's happened, and it's now probably going to set up for reversal. So what I'm doing is just watching the footprint. This is an example of an absorption candle. It's quite a clean absorption. All that means is sellers have run into a lot of bids and been rejected, and we're now kind of turning bullish. How can you tell it's absorption? A few things: spike in volume, spike in delta that's abnormal to what's come before it, and you can see by the large wick then most of the volume's on the wick, and it's now switching to a kind of bullish candle. So the trick is now is waiting for imbalances that form. And just while that's happening, just to explain the setup again, setup 1 is about first determine your bias, which is probably bullish after the big sell-off yesterday. All time frames are bullish apart from H1, H4. We had this run below Asia low, contact of the previous day's point control, and also we just slipped below this little swing low from overnight, or sorry, late RTH session last night, which was kind of, you know, if you're looking at Bookmap and you see all the bid liquidity here, then it's kind of obvious it's just going to slip through it all, and you're not going to buy directly on the VPOC. So it's a case of just kind of waiting and watching in footprint. You've got the first ingredient, which is absorption. That's good. Second thing you want to see is the bulls overcoming like a high volume node from previous candles or a stacked imbalance. So that would be the relevant one here. If price was still bearish, then it would respect this imbalance and keep moving down. If price is bullish, our first sign of that is us overcoming some bearish structures. So we'll just wait and see if that happens. I think it will, but it may still go one tad lower, because in trading a lot of people have the same ideas of buying at the same levels, and the only thing that can be done about that with price is that they all get stopped out in first. So that's what's happened here. We overshot the POC a little bit. We had an absorption, all the bids got filled, and now it looks like we're turning bullish. So I said, yeah, you could do an aggressive buy now. I prefer, most people in most situations don't do that. Because what will happen is after 5-10 successful trades, you'll start to think that you can take more risks. And it's very hard to, you know, remain objective, let's say, after you've experienced either a string of wins or a string of losses, or even one win or one loss. It can remove objectivity. So the way to keep it objective is to wait for bullish candle like this, something like that, and then you have some imbalances, bullish imbalances in there, and then you watch for pullbacks into it. So we don't truly know that this is the bottom yet. It looks like it, but we don't truly know, so best to wait. we look at the price action again, this was the POC, and I had a previous day value area low in confluence with it. So just because it overshoots doesn't mean it's a bad level. It's actually quite a good thing. It's normal. It means a lot of people are wanting to buy here, and price just has to slip down to kind of get them all filled or stopped out, the early entrants. So what to do sometimes in this situation is look out for little hidden gaps that are below price or below little swing lows like this. So I would say price is just about ready to turn. So watch closely. I'd say it's ready within the next few minutes. And this will be demo because I've committed to demo this week after trading on Monday like a bit of a loon. I was talking about a bit in the group yesterday about like checking in with yourself and just making sure you're in the right mindset for calmly taking trades. If you're feeling wound up or just basically if you're not feeling tip top, then you shouldn't be taking trades. And for me, it was just poor sleep over the weekend and just generally feeling a bit muddled. So that's why I decided just to switch to demo for NFP week. And I can't apologize for that because I've been in this situation in the past where I just try and push through tiredness, all that kind of frustration, and you can't push through it when it comes to trading. It's impossible. So best thing to do, take a couple of days break, get some good sleep, and then you're good to go. So this is good. This bullish candle, we have an imbalance within it. I'm going to suggest we put in
order filled,
one aggressive buy for now.
Order placed.
Target is a single print above this high, so say 18359-ish, or 18360 they say.
Order placed. Order cancelled. Order cancelled.
Now, a break of this imbalance means that the bulls are pretty much almost certainly on, but you'd expect some resistance to be encountered here. If they just steamroller it, then it means bulls are probably likely going to make quite a rapid move up. In that case, I wouldn't suggest just adding more aggressive buys. I'd still suggest waiting for a pullback like we have here, for example. Sometimes it's jump down into M1, just if price is moving quite quick. You see this imbalance is being respected now. So we'll probably do one more.
Order filled. Order placed.
And there's delta divergence now. It's shifted bullish. So, and now we're about to overcome this imbalance, which is very good. Now, the only issue is reversals can sometimes look like sometimes do this kind of thing, make it look like the reversal's on, and then do one little final, something like that. Not always, but sometimes. Usually early in the morning. This is why I like the London session. It tends not to do that kind of mucking around. Basically, what you've seen now is this bullish imbalance has been respected and we're wicking off it. So that's why I entered on there just when the delta turned positive. Targets, we look at what I would suggest is the single print. See this inefficiency? That's from today, actually. I mean, that would be your first target, maybe. But above here, we should manage to get up there later today. So I would suggest holding for that. So you may find that you either hesitate or you feel like you've missed the move or something. Never enter just like at the direct top of a move like that and just say, okay, well, you always want to be waiting for like pullbacks into imbalances and stick to that. So like, how do you choose targets? You know, it's you gotta use a bit of logic and say, okay, well, where's the liquidity? Where are the inefficiencies? We have this large single print. There's also a single print here. So that this would be a conservative target. So blue, by the way, that's my color coding for single print. What's a single print? I'll just show you that. It's these areas where price spent less than half an hour. Basically, that's all it is. Price moves so rapidly that not all buyers and sellers could get filled at this level. So it means it's like a paint roller where you roll the paint and it gets thin. So you have to kind of roll the roller back up to fill it in. It's a bit like that. So what you may see is this was the POC, by the way, the VPOC. On pullbacks, if it tests the VPOC, you see in this pullback, it jumped off the VPOC. So that was a good place to add. If it comes back and respects the VPOC again, then that's also a good place to add. But I think, I have a feeling, given the time, kind of 6:30 to 7, we're probably just going to shoot up quite quickly. Then the question is, like, when do you move your stop up to break even? It's kind of a hard question to answer. Usually I say after the first pullback. You don't want to do it too soon because you risk getting stopped out of break even and missing the move. At the same time, you want to cover yourself. So, logic, I would say when we get close to view app, I would probably stick my stop loss to break even. In fact, right now, there's no need for my stop to be so low.
Order cancelled. Order placed.
You can just have it below this imbalance. Then it's just patience. I think what I'll do is I'll print this on the group and then I'll stop the recording and then we'll come back once it gets to target. Let's make sure this is safe first. The danger in this situation is that we do this kind of secondary stop hunt. So we'll just have to watch out for that quickly, just in case it happens. It doesn't look like it will, to be honest. What you would look out for is the delta rapidly shifting into like a massive negative number. You would look to see, you're looking at the volume on pullbacks as well to make sure it's lower than the impulsive legs. So the pullback legs should be much less volume than the impulse legs. So that's a kind of good sign that the trade's going in your favor, although this candle is yet to close. So what I can see in Bookmap is a lot of liquidity above price, so it should be attracted to push into that. It goes all the way up to 296. To recap, we had our like key level Asia low, break of the Asia low, contact of the VPOC. Then we just need to wait for all the liquidity to get filled out. Then we see the absorption. Then we see bullish candles overcoming bearish imbalances, and then entered on retests of bullish imbalances. So yeah, you're going to be nervous whilst price is quite close to your entry point. That's normal. Just have to stick with it. Sorry, I was talking on mute there, but basically we're retesting this bullish imbalance. Nothing to worry about really too much yet. The only danger is a shakeout, which I don't really expect. 6:30 in the morning, it tends not to do that. So just need to wait for the impulse leg, and once it's kind of pushed up a bit, I'll put the stop at break even, then I can stop the recording and come back and show you when it hits target. So I expect maybe in the next 5-10 minutes it'll make a nice scoot up, hopefully. Just to show you how bookmap looks like, I'll just print it on the group. You can just see most of the liquidity is overhead. That's good if we're buying because it's likely to push into this. We can also reference ES and just see if that agrees. ES is actually quite balanced. It's got, yes. ES isn't really giving much away, to be honest. If this imbalance doesn't hold, let's say we come back and this doesn't hold, then that's a sign that we may be going for a further low, which would suck, but it just means we'd have to take the loss on the chin and then re-enter a bit lower down. It looks like we're going to be okay though, because this is the VPOC. So it's a good thing if we sit in this situation, right? We overshot the VPOC, we came back, and now we're coming back and the VPOC is now holding as support. This is a very good thing. I'll just label that. It's already labeled, never mind. So this would be the Asia low. So if you're just to have like one setup for life, I would suggest it's this one because it occurs every day. It's very clear cut in the rules. It forces you to be patient and use alerts because you just put the alerts on the key levels. And it gets you out of the kind of screen watching mode, which can become very tempting for traders, where you say, okay, I want to trade this morning. And if you have an array of setups, to call on, you're going to try and curve fit and say, okay, this kind of looks like a setup for whatever. This is how you get into trouble. So this setup is very clear cut. It works really well. You want to look for the prominent ones, which in this case it was very prominent. You had Asia low with a VPOC below it. Yes, it overshot, but it overshot in a kind of logical way. Now this is a good kind of example of like, let's say we weren't 2 lots deep and we're 5 lots deep at this point, and it was copied across 20 accounts. And you see it looks like the trade is kind of going against you. How do you handle your thoughts in this kind of moment? Well, first of all, you should have this trading plan written down before you kind of get into your kind of fight or flight stress mode. Have all your invalidation rules written down, your stop loss, your take profit. Under what criteria would you exit the trade? Under what criteria would you re-enter the trade? And just have it all written down, laid out logically, so that you're not making emotional decision making. Now, let's say this imbalance does not hold. Then we'll get out the trade, we'll suck up the $100 lost or whatever, and we'll look to re-enter. Oh. Right, on cue, what may be happening is a further stop hunt. But we'll see. So this is our kind of last chance saloon level. Sincerely hope it holds. Looks okay. Why was it our last chance saloon level? Well, this is the final kind of bullish imbalance. Makes sense that we would come down and fill this in. It's an inefficiency. Price doesn't like to leave Buyers and sellers unmatched. So the fact that we come down here, you should have this marked out and ready so that you're not crapping yourself in drawdown. If that makes sense. Sorry for the colloquialism, but you know what I mean. You're gonna have shakeouts and nervous moments, but to be honest, I don't really see anything to worry about here. In fact, I see this as an adding opportunity.
Order filled. Order placed.
Now that we've kind of just filled in this imbalance, actually adding here would have been perfect, but we've also now overcome this bearish imbalance. Start speaking on mute again. There will be situations where you have to take a small loss in order to make a larger win. This will happen quite often, and you don't worry about it. This looks still okay to me, personally. This was kind of expected. In fact, this would have been the prime place to add if we were behaving perfectly. So what I want to see is price break this high now. I'll set my stop loss to break even, and then I'll stop the recording, and then come back when we get to target. At the moment, it's like I kind of will it or won't it do a secondary stop hunt. Could do. It could break this low, come down here, and then rally. It's possible. And we'll note that. We'll chalk up and say, okay, we took $250 loss or whatever, re-enter, okay, and then the other one was a bigger win. Well, at the moment, to be honest, I don't see much to worry about. It looks fairly normal. See positive delta on this imbalance, just a slow burner. There you go. Even though this is a demo trade, I was nervous because you just never know if price is gonna do stop hunt shakeouts. Usually, I like ETH times. Okay, good stuff. So I'll wait for this high to break. I'll set my stop loss to break even. To the person who's patiently waiting for me on mute, thank you very much for holding through this, but I think it'll be valuable just to see like what an actual real trade setup looks like and how it's not always clean and perfect. Again, speaking on mute, sorry. But you just want to observe these imbalances and see if they hold. You don't want to see bears pushing through this. That would be a bad sign. Let's say you do get a close below here, say, then that would offer a low cost opportunity to get out quite quickly. But I think it's okay. Hovering around break even is never fun, obviously. You just need to be like trying to like, what I like to do is a breathing exercise when you're in this kind of situation. If it was a live trade, obviously this is demo, but if it was a live trade, you're getting nervous, just like do some deep breathing. You can slow your heart rate down. I believe it's by inhaling quickly and exhaling slowly. That'll actually slow your heart rate down. So quick inhales, slow exhales, and that'll kind of, it'll actually slow your heart rate down. So let's try and tell a story of what's happened so far. Broke Asia low. We came down to the VPOC. We don't buy directly on the VPOC because we saw all of the market was wanting to do that. We could see on Bookmap lots of bids here. So wait for all of them to get filled. Wait for the absorption. Wait for some bulls to kind of break some bearish imbalances and bearish high volume nodes. And then look at the pullbacks and look to buy on imbalances. Okay, see this bullish imbalance, that's where I was adding. Once this high breaks, we get a kind of push up. I put my stop to break even. I'll stop the recording. And then worst case scenario is a break even trade. But this is like a prime example of the main setup that I teach. And if you cover a couple of markets, you're going to see it happen every day, pretty much. The nice thing is it's designed to find the reversal areas in the market. This strategy is specifically designed to find where the market is gonna turn. So it gives you a really good risk to reward. And the beauty of it is you can just put your alerts on the key levels and you don't have to sit watching. Because if you sit watching, your brain is gonna invent stories. Like there's setup 2, which is a continuation pattern, and it's always going to be tempting just to trade that anywhere. I recommend you don't do that. Setup 2 is more for if you've had the setup 1 style situation happen already, you're late to the party, that's when you deploy setup 2, which is, okay, we've got a bullish move in progress or a bearish move in progress. Let's look for imbalances where we can join the party, as long as there's a good logical target higher up. you know, it's always tempting to like say, you know, maybe just move my stop to break even now. But the thing is, it'll get clipped, and you'll end up missing the move. I was just saying, like, this is probably the trickiest part of the process, how you handle the confirmation and the entry. It's not tricky, like, in the sense of impossible. You know, it's not like you have to be. It's not like playing a grandmaster at chess. All right, it's just the analogy I can think of. It's tricky in the sense of you're gonna need to practice it a few times before you get good at it. That's just the way it is. So now we've broken the high. I can probably just move my stop to break even.
Order cancelled. Order placed.
And we've got our target in the single print higher up, so that's good enough for the purposes of just showing you the entry. Hopefully it doesn't clip or break even. Yeah, and I'll come back to the recording hopefully when we get to target. Cheers. Alright, so just an update. We got stopped out break even, unfortunately. This is gonna happen. I think when I shut off the last video, I just moved my stop to break even, so that turned out to be a good idea. Because we retested the low, and it looks like we've made, this would be termed a weak low, so it's kind of wide open. This is like a double bottom, so it's wide open for a liquidity grab, maybe into these inefficiencies on the M15 time frame. So what I would do is wait for a spike down below this weak low. This is kind of loosely termed a shakeout, so it's just try to test the conviction of buyers. Very common situation in markets. Not much you can do apart from just cover yourself best you can. If you do end up taking a small loss to take a bigger gain, it's not the end of the world, but in this case I took a break even, and we will wait for a breach of this low. Alright, so what have we got? So it looks like, well, this is like part 3 of the video, I guess. We got an entry. It came back, clipped break even. Now, we were not to know that the market was just going to accumulate all morning, but it sometimes behaves like this if there's a major release in the afternoon. In this case, it's ADP, and then there's ISM manufacturing as well. So it looks like it just clipped this low. It's not done a proper liquidity grab yet. I would definitely suggest that the market is bullish. It's just a case of waiting. Yeah, I thought we were doing the liquidity grab there, but it looks like it'll be during ADP. Well, I was away having breakfast, and I see it looks like we've done the liquidity grab. Kind of happened when I was not looking, as always. But what I would suggest is I'll just post this on the group just now. Let's have a look at the price action. So yeah, I mean, we did the liquidity grab, filled in inefficiency. Given that it's ADP around the corner, I can still see it doing something like this. So just need to box clever with this one. It may just be an inducement, so the way to tell is just see how the bull move develops, and watch the pullbacks. If you get delta divergence within here, then you're good to go for buys. As I said, this week I'm trading demo. I was poor sleep over the weekend. I know when I'm in an optimal mindset for trading and when I'm not, and I would say I'm not at the moment. I'm quite happy just to do demo trades until I feel like I'm well rested and kind of over all these annoying aches and pains that I've been getting. I tell you, it's no joke. Once you pass 35, you really got to look after yourself. You cannot behave like you were when you were 20. Not that I even am behaving remotely like the way I was when I was 20, but you do need to make sure you're eating extremely healthy and exercising. And unfortunately, I think this might have just the ship might have sailed already. There was, borderline confirmation here, but it didn't really have the delta divergence. So yeah, I just need to observe, watch these stacked imbalances. And the thing is, I think this will run quite far. I mean, bare minimum, I expect us to come up into this, but actually stretch. I think these highs will be taken eventually. So even if we get in a little bit late, it's not the end of the world. The footprint is really your friend for the precision entries and making sure that you're not taking suboptimal entries, this really is the tool to use. Okay, you're trading relative to what's already happened, but that's actually quite a good thing. You're not trying to look into the future, you're just referencing what's happened already. Now, an efficient market should come down and fill in imbalances, but sometimes you only get one chance. M3 gives you a nice balance intraday, I find. It's where the imbalances are reliable enough to trade with. The higher the time frame you go, the more reliable the points and the candles are going to be. Okay, so M5 is going to be a bit more reliable in terms of high volume nodes, imbalances, that kind of thing. M1 is fast. You're more likely to get an entry, but it's less likely to be the correct one. I find M3 is like a nice balance. It's just got enough speed where you can trade intraday, but enough information where it's reliable. So again, what we're looking for is a fill of this imbalance stack with a bullish delta. Sorry, I think I was on mute when I said that, but I was just saying this kind of looks like an entry in hindsight, but in practice, I don't think it is. So we're almost here. I just want to see it move into this zone, positive delta, then I'm good to go. Slightly worried this high volume node may have been the support. Let's hope we get down into this. The patience, the FOMO is unreal sometimes. Beginning to think I should have entered here, as we're now seeing bulls break. That's a bit of a bummer. So there's setup 1, setup 2. Setup 1 is where you kind of catch the key level and trading level. You know, get your entry in here somewhere. Setup 2 is if the move is clearly in progress and you're just trying to catch it a little bit late. But what you must do is wait for retests of stacked imbalances and make sure the delta is positive, and then you're very, very likely to be okay. And it doesn't matter that you've missed a few points, because the potential of this trade it's got at least 50 to 100 points to go. So in my opinion, patience required. So we have several imbalance stacks, and it's a question of just waiting to see which one price will respect and turn bullish on. Now, the momentum may be so strong that it's just going to respect these local imbalances. What I can see in Bookmap is most of the liquidity is on the offer, so it's going to be attracted to there, but sometimes it helps just to look at the price action just to get a bit of perspective. And you see we're still basically in this accumulation range. We had this kind of turtle soup. Given that we're still in this range, this may just be a bit of liquidity gathering. So unless we see a strong positive delta on one of these imbalances, it's a no trade scenario. So like I've said, I mean, the analysis, there's lots of elements to this. There's the planning, looking at the weekly profiles, finding confluences on the volume and market profiles to try and figure out good levels, and then it's a case of figuring out, okay, what is the trend for today? What is the likely move? You know, after taking external liquidity, then we're probably headed back to internals. And it's a question of trying to get a precision entry where you don't have a massive stop loss. Now, I could just enter here, you know, and put my stop loss below here, but with ADP around the corner, it's not a good move. I'd much rather miss it. Sometimes, I mean, we can have, a lot of people do trade false breakouts, so you'll often see these traders then stopped out later. So just have to be careful. So I'll keep this in the recording, this whole scenario, because it's useful to see. It's really inviting buyers, but what gives me pause is that we're still basically in this accumulation range. and it may stay in this until ADP. I mean, the chances of an expansion at what time is it? 12:20. Kind of unlikely. This may just be a move to bring in some liquidity. I'll keep this section in the recording because it's valuable to see. I mean, it's there's going to be cases where you have a great setup, but the entry just doesn't, unless you're very aggressive about it. You know, you could have said as an aggressive entry, okay, stop hunt done. I'm going to enter on the break of the stacked imbalance. Okay, get my entry there. The move is done. I can put my stop loss to break even. That's quite often how I handle it. And then just kind of trail the stop, but we've not had a real good conservative entry, I would say. The closest was we came back, we retested this kind of high volume node. If only I had a working chart that would actually show this. Some charts are just deciding not to work. That's not the one I wanted. That's crazy. So you could even have said, hey, here, there's a high volume node. We could have maybe entered there, but it's not really my style. Because you've got so many high volume nodes to choose from. You know, this is not, I mean, which one do you choose, this one or that one? You know, this is not good enough. Just in my, I've experienced this for years. Like, how do you refine the entry? You've got the idea, it's a good idea, but how do you actually enter it in a precision way? This is the best way I've found personally, is looking for imbalanced retests with a positive delta in your direction, and it's a way to filter out the false moves. It's quite possible that this was just a little quick false breakout just to bring in more liquidity for ADP, and then ADP could smash down, stop out the people who entered here. Complex situation, unfortunately. It looked easy this morning, but it's just the way trading is sometimes. But the rules are clear. We need a delta divergence on an imbalanced stack, and that's actually not happened in this whole move up. It's been close. speaking on mute again. I'm just saying, you could have scalped this for like 30 points or whatever, taken it in an aggressive way. I prefer to catch intraday trades, which I would say is above 30 points on NQ. On ES, maybe 20 points or above. That's what I would call an intraday swing. They're harder to get, obviously. They require a lot of patience. Could you have taken this in an aggressive way? Yes. You know, you see this liquidity grab, it breaks the stacked imbalance. That would have been your aggressive entry. And then you can see we kind of supported on this imbalance here. You need the patience of a saint, unfortunately. And it is quite painful to, you've planned out what looks like an easy trade, and then it just does not give you the confirmation that you require for your rule set. Rare. This is a rare situation, I would say. Usually I would catch something like this, but it looks like it sailed away. Now, there is some hope. We come back in for a retest, so we'll just have to wait. It could just be wiping this high. And in fact, that's actually a potential setup one short. But because I have a bullish bias today, I'll wait for the buy. So my general impression with ADP around the corner, I don't think the buy is started already. I think we're just doing a kind of expanding range, and we'll probably end up doing something like this on ADP. A spike down, and then rally. So So I might be wrong, but my general feeling is we're just accumulating in this range, taking out a high and a low pre-news. I don't think it's the time to find a long. I might be wrong. But this situation is too risky. What you might see is ADP just spikes down. You know, early buyers have been enticed here. But yeah, I'm still a long bias. I'm just not convinced this is the right time. So I'll include this in the video, but sometimes it's useful just to see the full thought process. Yeah, looks very sketchy. I mean, yeah. These imbalances aren't going to support. You can see the bearish power is really building. This is just an elaborate trap. Yeah, it's probably on ADP. I'm very convinced you're going to see this side liquidated, and then it will probably rapidly expand. And you just have to. We'll have to do an aggressive entry on the news, but. All right, so it's ADP in 3 minutes. So there's two things that can happen. I strongly believe that price is bullish today. I think I explained that already. Now, this was actually a good chance to enter. I was having breakfast, but there was an aggressive entry. I did not see a decent conservative entry on the way up. This was the closest to kind of absorption on this stacked imbalance. It's hard to say whether that's an absorption though in the moment. I prefer to see a positive delta divergence, and prices shot up after that. So you would have had to have, used a bit of blind faith, because couldn't really yeah, it did have the hallmarks of absorption, but it was very light at that. So what I think is going to happen, and we've got like 2 minutes, is that we may liquidate early buyers. Perhaps come down to, somewhere down here, and then find a buy after that. So I'll stitch all the recordings together. If it flies, it flies. Today's POC 284. Yeah, it basically, that was the retest level, was today's point control. If it does fly, there was some ample opportunity to get in. Okay, it wasn't the most straightforward. This whole situation looked easy in the morning, but has actually turned out to be quite complex given the news. So we'll just have to watch the news release now, and hopefully we get a spike down. Okay, here we go. So what I'm hoping is we breach this low. Now, we may respect this imbalance. It's possible. Interestingly, there's a buyer at 250 below the low. I think he's got the same idea as me, he or she. That's where I'd be placing my limit if I was trading this. Doesn't mean it will get hit, not necessarily. So you might be thinking, like, is there an easier way to handle this? Not really. Sometimes the signals are just not clear cut, and then you just have to accept that. If there was an easier way, I would have figured it out by now, because all I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years is staring at markets and volume profiles and market profiles and try to figure out what the best approach is and then distill it down into a system. So yeah, sometimes you'll have a good idea and either you'll hesitate on the entry because it just doesn't quite meet your criteria, which is better than taking a loss. Taking a loss is the worst thing you can do in trading, obviously. And it's not just the effect on your psyche, it's not just the reduction in your account size, it's the whole effect in your trading. So it's much better just to let moves go if you don't get a perfect signal rather than trying to fight your way into it. I mean, yeah, you could say looks like this imbalance is respected, but I see liquidity below the low, and the chances of it's just, I guess it's implicit memory kicking in. Like, I've seen this kind of situation so many times where you have an accumulation, it seems to break out, and then it just comes down and like liquidates all the early buyers. So that's the only real way to approach this particular scenario. Could you have scalped up for 20-30 points? Yeah, that would have been a good little intraday trade. If you want the 100 pointers, sometimes they're going to be super easy to catch, sometimes they're just going to be a dog and you just have to wait. So I'm not gonna just watch this slowly come down to my entry. What I'm gonna do is just keep my alert here. I know there's liquidity down at 250. Okay, so somebody's interested in buying at the low. It's not a huge amount, but there is a peak in the DOM around here. So yeah. I said that, you know, if there's any doubt, like what I've recorded to you is a lot of doubt around these potential entries. And if you have that, just stay out. Just don't try and force it. It's very, very tempting to just force trades. You saw I just wrote in the group there that the entry should be clear and distinct. That's a phrase from René Descartes when he was giving his version of the ontological argument. If there's any philosophers out there, you'll know what I mean. I'm not even going to try to attempt to get an entry in here. I think a lot of people will be trying to do that. I think the most likely thing for price to do is remove this low. It just seems like I'm just going from implicit memory here of situations in the past. I mean, I've been through it all. I've been through every trading scenario you could imagine, and once you've seen 100 of them, you know, there are similarities in situations where it's like, okay, I've seen this before, I know how this is going to play out. You're not going to get it right all the time, but account preservation is always the first thing you have to watch out for. So we'll wait for this low to get removed, and what I'll do is just pause the video just so we're not recording nothing. Well, it's actually coming in pretty close, so. It's going to be a strange video for sure, but I think it'll be valuable just to hear the thought processes that you're inevitably going to come up against, because I understand the temptation to buy here. I understand it completely. And I also understand the FOMO, all the emotions that, you know, will be experienced when you're kind of in this kind of situation. But given this kind of the weakness of this move up and the test of this inefficiency, I think the only logical thing for price to do is to move below this low. Sorry, speaking on mute. This is bookmap currently. You can see a lot of bids desperately try to keep price up, but all that's going to do is push price down, paradoxically. All right, I think we're now streaming. I guess I can explain quickly what the situation is here. We had what looked like an easy buy in the morning, a sweep below Asia low into a POC. We waited. I actually took the buy here. We got a bit of a rally, stopped out break even. And then we just kind of accumulated for the rest of the day. We had this little kind of false breakout turtle soup kind of thing. I was away for breakfast, but that would have been an okay scalp, although I didn't see the best confirmation in the world, so I didn't take it. After I kind of figured out what was going on, I realized that ADP is very likely going to take us below London low. I think this is like, we're being made to think that this is a demand zone and it's time to buy, but I don't think it is at all. I think what you're going to see is these bearish imbalances respected. You can see they are already. And what you can see on Bookmap, I'll just print a picture of how it looks. So you see a ton of bids, try to keep price up. And paradoxically, I think the only thing price can do now is sweep down below London low. I don't really see it doing anything else. This is a very poor trap. I would not get drawn into this. The way you can tell is watch the bearish stacked imbalances, and you'll see them probably get respected and then get sent down again. So yeah, demo. I'm making no bones about this. I'm trading demo this week. Basically, I can tell at the start of the week if I'm in a good mindset or not. I can tell by my trading on Monday. And Monday, I turned out a $600 profit per account, but I took 8 trades. And to me, that just shows that I'm not in the mindset for treating trading like a business. So if I'm like that on Monday, I know that I have to just switch to demo for at least a few days until I kind of get my head straight. You know, it's usually related to poor sleep, and it kind of can lead you to treat trading like a video game. You know, something just to give you some cheap dopamine. But it's very important that we do not get into that trap. And if you find yourself doing that, think of the Venn diagram of trading as a business and trading for fun, or trading as a video game. And sometimes those Venn diagrams overlap a little bit and the line is a bit blurry. So if you catch yourself just over trading or bending your rules, stuff like this, the only thing you can do is switch to demo or just step away for a few days. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. And my trading on Monday was a bit... I was lucky to turn a profit, essentially. It could have easily gone south quite quickly, but as long as you recognize that in yourself and you don't try and push through it. Done that before. So I had a poor start to the week. Tried to push through and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So just chill. Market's always going to be there. Practice some demo trades. Practice following your system strictly. Treat the demo account as if it's a real account. And in a few days, you'll probably be back to normal. But yeah, this is the struggle that traders will face a lot. You know, you cannot be in a perfect mindset all the time, perfectly rested and perfectly in the zone. You know, there's going to be 5% of the time where you're just not there. So what to do is either take some time off or just switch to demo and keep practicing for a few days. Too long, didn't read. Don't compound damage when you're not feeling great. Right now we're just waiting for... We've actually created a little kind of what do you call it, bear flag. It's a near guarantee that price is going to breach London low. Obviously we don't trade breakouts. I'm not a breakout trader. I'm just showing you that this is probably being set up as a little liquidity generating mechanism. As you can see, the bearish imbalances were respected. negative delta, price is bearish still. You can see some desperate bids, you know, desperate bids try to keep price afloat, but the only thing price can do now is actually sweep through those bids, in my opinion. I may be wrong, and I am live. So I'll just talk you through the situation again once I get some where's the chart? Okay, that's gold. Looking at NQ. Okay, situation this morning. That was Asia low, VPOC below it. On an ordinary day, that would be quite an easy trade, easy buy. But given the double news release in the afternoon, NFP week, what we did was accumulate, brought in buyers and sellers. Both sides are now being repeatedly liquidated. This is normal. Normal for heavy news days. You just have to box clever around it, and you need to have a strong hand, basically. You know, you need to. It's like you're holding a royal flush, and you're just waiting for the right time to play it. I don't know if that poker analogy was very good, but so I won't go into why I think price is bullish just yet, because I think the entry may come very soon. But the basic idea is we've formed like a Wyckoff style distribution on US equities. ES opened up with an all-time high, and then we breached last week's low, so that was like the second sign of weakness. So we're looking for a kind of last point of supply. To put that in another language, we've taken some external liquidity, so I think we'll move up to take internal liquidity next. That's just until NFP, and I think the week following NFP, what you're going to see is, and I'm almost hesitant to say it, but I think you're going to see a shift in US equities to bearishness, to possibly a daily downtrend. Maybe not a weekly downtrend, but a daily downtrend at least. So here we are, just about to break London low. You go, if you're on my group, you know, this is already me planned out well in advance. This is what we said would happen. So we're just waiting, not doing anything, not taking stupid trades. 4 years ago, I probably would have taken about 15 trades in this situation and possibly blown an account or two. I laugh because I'm not exaggerating. That's exactly what I used to do. This is currently just bullshit. It's making a double bottom. Let's try and make you think this is a demand zone and we're gonna launch from here. I can tell you that's very unlikely to be the case. Times it now. You may see, say on the hour, a big slip down, or maybe even sooner. Now, potential buy, you could say the value area low, 223. That's the average daily range low. We've got a high volume node here. This looks quite good to me. 235 to 224 kind of area. I'd say that's your buy zone. So I have actually recorded this entire morning of the trades I took, the thinking at each stage. It's going to be a very boring video, but it's, you know, even if one person gets value out of it, that's job done. Okay. Now, could London low support and then the next news release take us down? Yeah, it's possible. I certainly bloody hope not, but we'll see. So when's the next release? I think it's at 3 o'clock UK time. Here we go. I can see all the bids are just getting absolutely wiped now. 43 icebergs got involved here.
Order fill. Order placed. Order cancelled.
I'm not totally convinced this is it, but we're in danger of missing the move. So scale in light for now. I think you may see a further move low. What we had was a big absorption on an iceberg there. 104 stops hit. But I've got my stop loss very wide for now because we've just scaled in light. I think we may reach this area. Why am I so convinced that it's bullish? I'll get into that after the trade is running. It's a break of this opposing imbalance. Really, you need to close above it for an aggressive entry. So, yes, that was a spot of FOMO. Not gonna lie. Casino maybe on.
Order filled. Order cancelled. Order placed.
Stop will have, right, keep the risk low and the stop wide for now. If it develops, we can always add and bring in the stop a lot tighter. Now, if we move below this low down here, absolutely no fear. I'm just going to add more. It may try and shake out again. I will not be surprised by that, but 5 minutes until on the hour. So usually the move will kick off in earnest on the hour. If we move below this low to this target buy zone, I just add more contracts. Simple as that. So the next major release is 3 p.m. So in my opinion, I think the bullish move will be established by then. And I think the 3 p.m. release will just give it more power to move up. So at the moment, we're just waiting to see if we get another stop hunt below this low. Bookmap showed 104 stops collected, which is okay. You know, what I like to see is for something like this, maybe more like 200. The best situation is if you get, like, say, a large number of stops collected, price moves down more, and then the amount of stops collected is lower. It's kind of called like stop divergence.
Order filled. Order placed.
Apparently I did this as made for
Order
kids.
cancelled.
Whoops. So there's no chat. I don't know what that made for kids thing is. I don't know. This is definitely not made for kids, just so you're aware. If I had kids, I would let them nowhere near this. Ugh, I wonder if I should like restart the broadcast, because I don't know what the implications of made for kids is. I think it just means there's no chat. what you may see on the hour is that price really accelerates one way or the other. Either we do a final stop hunt or we get a rapid move up. The negative delta is not actually, use logic to say, okay, that's probably limit buys. All this stuff, it's not aggressive sellers. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say
Order fill. Order placed.
good stuff. Now, targets. I think today, like bare minimum would be this swing high. So what would that be? I'd say you could target just around 100 points, say 18,370. I actually think we'll go much further than that.
Order placed. Order cancelled. Order cancelled. Order placed. Order cancelled.
I mean, so far so good. Still a little bit nervous. Even though it's a demo trade, I'm still nervous. I try, even if I'm demo trading, I treat it like I'm using real money. Once this is broken, this is our kind of de facto resistance area. Once this is broken, I'll move the stop to break even. The negative delta at the moment is giving some cause for concern, so I'll wait to see what happens, first of all. If it gets back to my entry point, I may trim 2 contracts off. Just have to be nimble in this kind of situation. I mean, we've already had several shakeouts, so I think we're ready to pump, personally. The delta's now flipped. I think we're going to see a big rapid pump up pretty soon, is my view. And then I'll move my stop up. And for this move, we want 100 points. Is that an arbitrary number? Absolutely it is. But I actually think we'll achieve more. I think NQ will potentially test these highs. So what we may do is take most off above this high and leave a runner for up here. Really, I don't truly believe in the move until this stacked imbalance is removed. Once that is, then I'm a true believer. It's looking good now. So I've recorded this entire morning, so I will stitch it into a video. This is just my second entry of the day. First entry I took on a recording with another caller who was on mute. This entry you saw me took live. Okay, it's made for kids. Hopefully that doesn't bury it in the algorithm somewhere. I don't know. I'll just have to refrain from any cuss words. I think it's time to move to break even.
Order cancelled. Order placed.
The risk is the volume is kind of dying down. Once we've passed this, I believe we're home and dry almost. Home and dry, is that an expression? Am I thinking of cut and dry? I don't know. The fact that buying aggression has now entered is good, but it's not exactly shooting the lights out, let's say. And this level is now held, which is making me a little nervous. But this is why we moved the stop to break even, okay? Because before any big move, if price is going to move 100 points or 200 points or 300 points, usually the amount of shakeouts and liquidity gathering will be a lot more, okay? Because think of it as like a car being fueled. If it's going on a long trip, it needs more fuel. So fuel in this analogy is stops, bids. So I'm prepared for this low that's just been made to be taken out again. I can't control the markets. If I was in charge, I would send it straight up, but I'm not in charge. The composite man is, and we just have to follow the order flow. Yeah, looks like a break even coming in again. Maybe.
Order cancelled.
Sorry, I was talking on mute. Yeah, I was just explaining that we're kind of got what you call in traditional technical analysis like a megaphone or an expanding triangle, and it's probably one of the most annoying situations you can get in trading. You can use it to your advantage, but you don't know it's going to be like this until it actually forms. What's likely to happen now is a very sharp move down below this lower trend line into this kind of ledge, possibly to the value area low. So we've got this zone from 244 to 224. You can see the delta remain negative pretty much throughout this entire move up. So that's why I moved my stop to break even fairly sharpish. And you see that this was respected, this bearish imbalance. So if you see that, that's a sure sign that, you know, get your stop to break even or even a bit in profit. Now, I have recorded this entire morning session. Now, I'd love to show you just a beautiful, clean trading setup, but it's the reality of trading is it's not always clean. In fact, it's quite messy a lot of the time. This is one such time, but I do have high conviction that this will eventually turn into a good buy. Now 20 win days in a row since taking CBD oil. Huh. I don't know if that's correlation or causation, man, but 20 winning days in a row. Well, it's worth a shot. Are you prepared to back that up with a statement? I'm just being a dick. Sorry. Okay. I'd like a bit more of a move down than that. Maybe we can just scale in.
Order filled. Order placed.
I think it'll move a bit lower. Into this kind of blue zone is where I'm really looking at. Why? High volume ledge from the RTH. And we're just kind of clipping the top end of it. 235 is the peak.
Order filled.
You know, I'm looking at MBO and I still want to see some more stop collection. So this would be a light scale in at the moment. Let's say we're doing 6 contracts total, so this would be like a third. Now, yeah, that is a quite wide stop. What, 20 points or something? But remember, we're aiming for over 100 points in this trade, so the RR is solid. Our strike rate, I dare say, is, if you don't, well, it depends if you include break evens. If you don't include break evens, I think our strike rate is something like 70%. But it depends. You know, some weeks I can have like an 100%. Some weeks it'll be like 50% or 40%. So it's very much a performance sport, and it depends on like just how you're feeling in yourself. Trading in the Zone, good book to read on that. Mental Game of Trading. Trading in the Zone is very much about just, you have a system that you trust and you're just executing that system as a kind of emotionless robot, and you know, treating every day as a new day, and not being influenced by anything that's happened in the past. Mental Game of Trading is more about giving you tools to work on things like FOMO, overconfidence, tilt. I wouldn't worry too much about the drawdown. Could we take yesterday's low? I guess it's possible, but I don't think it will happen. What I'd really like to see is, let's see. I'd like to see something like this with a large amount of stops collected, price to move lower, and then a lower amount of stops. That's usually quite a good reversal sign. So let's see if we're getting that now. Okay, I think it's working again. All right, so how long have we got till news? 2 minutes. So, situation is, looked like an easy buy this morning. Point of control below Asia low. We got it. We went in, went break even. Then we just accumulated until ADP. We suspected and knew ADP would probably take us down below the London low, so we re-entered. We're in that buy now, but it's very close to my break-even point. long story short, the next release will either send us shooting up to the stars or below yesterday's low. So I've got my stop just above break even for either eventuality. Let's hope it's just a clean pop, but I am actually bearish on US equities now, but I think we're going to do an external to internal kind of move first. So I can see up to a 200-point rally until NFP easily. So that's what we're trying to get involved in. So we've got 1 minute until the print. So better keep an eye on things. There we go. So it was all worth it.
Order filled. So you can't fake that. Okay, I took that live. I did not cherry pick. I did not start the stream halfway through the trade. I recorded every single entry I took this morning. So it was 2 break evens and 1 very, very good trade. So I think you get the idea. We can take the rest off at 350, say. We'll just take the low-hanging fruit. Order placed. Order placed.
So
Order filled.
yes, I had to restart this live stream because the first one jammed, but you can go back and check. This is about as a good a trade as you can hope for. Yeah, it was worth the wait. And you can leave this one running all day, no problem. Anyway, I think I've made my point. And yeah, very successful.
So that was live, guys. I didn't do an ICT on you and open a winning trade halfway through. I showed you all the thought processes where I was buying. You saw a break even or two, and then we got into a very successful trade, and that's it. Copy that across multiple accounts, and you've made an annual salary. And we can do that every day, no problem. So we'll just end the stream there. For the one person that watched, thank you very much. And we'll just leave it on my YouTube page for posterity. Okay, if you've made it this far in the video, I'll just give a recap of what happened. I think the title of this video will be how to handle complex buy situations. Now, if you've been around markets for a while, you'll know that the bigger the potential move, i.e. what we're doing right now, the more difficult they're going to make it for you. By they, I mean the composite man, market makers, whatever you want to say. So the original plan when we woke up this morning, we had this Asia low, this point control, and it seemed like the most straightforward buy in the world. Okay, so the first part of the recording, you saw us take a buy, and it got hit break even. So we kind of paused after that. It became a realization that this was just a kind of pre-ADP accumulation. So we didn't do anything. We didn't jump in here, didn't try and scalp it up. What we did was patiently wait for ADP to take us below the London low. Okay, bought once, got taken out break even, bought a second time in our planned buy zone. Why here? Because it's a high volume ledge, and bought off that. And you can see after a couple of break evens, eventually we got the home run. 5 contracts, 1 runner still going. Mentioned repeatedly that you can at least target, these highs. Okay, this high is like your bare minimum target, but you can probably target these internal highs for the runner. So yeah, quite a complex situation, but you're gonna encounter this in trading. A lot of this is just conviction and confidence. They often call this a shakeout of weak hands. So let's say you were buying here and you got stopped out. Maybe you hit a stop loss and you actually took a loss. And then maybe you tried it again here, hit your stop loss. By that time, your conviction is gone. So it's all about how you manage the trade. The key thing here is once you've taken that first break even, that you pause and then look at the news flow and say, okay, I see we're in an accumulation period. Let's just wait for the news release to do its thing. We could see there was a lot of bid liquidity under the London low, so we waited for that, figured out this high volume ledge to buy from, and eventually got in with the full buy, and the runner is still going. So one trade like that, you copy it across 20 accounts, that's you made 6 figures quite comfortably. Yeah, I mean, let's get a calculator to show you like the potential of that. Okay, so how many points did we do first of all? Let's look at it. So 180. Let's say we get the 200. Probably get 260, but let's just say 200. So calculator. Now that was with 5, right? So 100 points is 2k. So it's 2,000 times 2. So that's 4k. That's times 5 contracts. That's 20k. And then you times that by, say, 20 Apex accounts. Yep, 400k for one trade. So, yeah. I mean, you can see the potential. This is a very difficult situation to manage. I had to, I mean, if I traded this 3 years ago, I would have blown my account. Over time, when you build up implicit memory or work with somebody experienced, they'll help you navigate situations like this. But yeah, you can see the potential. I took it as a demo trade today. I just knew at the start of the week that my mindset is not fully on point. Something like this has really kind of leveled me out a bit and kind of restored my confidence in myself. But yeah, just a shame I didn't take it as a live trade, but there you go. That's the trade. Very complex situation, but you just have to read the runes. Okay, your initial idea, just because you don't get it perfectly. Okay, we all love it if we get this break below Asia low and it just bounces off VPOC and then sails away 200 points. It's not going to do that on news days. It's probably going to accumulate, wipe out both sides a few times, and you just have to be extremely patient and have conviction in your idea. So that's the conclusion. Very long video, very boring. I doubt many people will make it to the end of this, but yeah, there you go.